Outer Edge Games.
Okay, everybody. I talked to some people about this before. I told them I would have a sample of this day and night game I've been working on, just a proof of concept. And in all honesty, with some of the stuff I've seen going on out there right now, I kind of went, you know what? I could, I came up with this like a couple weeks ago, and I think I have a little bit more solid gameplay than some of these other things out there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I think I may have. So, I'll explain to you basically the basic core of the game. It is a game that takes place over what I'm calling 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall, and those seasons are broken down into 4-day and 4-night cycles. If you look here at this card, you'll see dawn, morning, midday, afternoon. Some of the names might not line up between these cards and all that. Like I said, it's proof of concept, so I kind of just did it to get it done. The idea being, obviously it's that fresh that I don't have the season card under here, but this card would rotate through the cycle. Actually, that went backwards. It's supposed to go dawn, morning, midday, afternoon. Then you flip the card, and you have dusk, evening, midnight, twilight, and then before your next dusk, you flip the card again to go back to dawn. You play cards on each one of these cycles. Your resource is your deck. Your life is your deck. The combat phase does not exist. The idea is you try and build up a board state with a higher value than your opponent by the time you get to afternoon, afternoon, so that when you flip to dusk, you compare values, and whoever has the higher value, the difference between that higher value and your opponent's lower value gets milled from their deck. I'll show you. Let me give you a sample of how we would run through. The idea with the 4-season play is that if you play very passively or very, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, you're limited still to 4 seasons. So once you've gone through 4 seasons of day and night cycles, the game ends. Whoever has more cards in their deck wins. So there's an alternative win con to just decking out. These counters I put on here just so that we can keep track of the number of these cards. I'm going to automate it after, but it's proof of concept. I didn't want to do that right now. So we are going to start the game. I'll run you through a dry run. And these cards obviously are not finalized by any stretch of the imagination, because I just kind of threw things down with random numbers. It's probably not even going to work at all, but I just want to go through the proof of concept to show you where I'm thinking, where my mind's going. So we draw 5 cards. And right now they all have generic art. I realized I shouldn't have done the generic art because it's kind of annoying. And what you'll see is in the top left corner is the cost to play this card, and in turn its value once it's on the field. And I just realized with this cost of 5, we've got a 50 card deck. We're going to burn through our deck fast. But anyways, you'll see abilities on it. In the evening, skip the next night. Discard this card at the next afternoon. Spelling mistake, so obviously I haven't gone through all this yet. So the idea with this card is you'd want to try and play it on your night step. If you notice, the night step is cheaper, it's only 4 cost. And then when it cycles through, you will skip the next night cycle, so you have the benefit of a stronger day cycle. Where are the cards here? Let's see. This one here, this is cheaper to play at night as well. In the day, you search your library for a card with a day cost less than or equal to 3. Reveal it and put it in your hand. Shuffle your library. So the idea would be, if you play this during the day, you're going to get an instant reaction, instant card out of your deck. If you play it at night, it's a little bit cheaper, because you know by the morning, or by the next day, you're kind of pre-playing it. The next day, it will trigger. So it's kind of like a delayed action, so it should be a little bit cheaper. Like I said, the balancing isn't there at all, but it's just the proof of concept. This one here, it costs 1 to play it during the day, 5 to play it at night. Why is that? Well, let's see. At midnight, you shuffle your opponent's graveyard and draw a card from it. You may play that card to the field without paying its costs. At dawn, discard this card. So to play this card at night costs you 5, because you know if you play this right at midnight, you get an instant action to use your opponent's graveyard. Instead, if you play it during the day, anytime after dawn, because if you play it at dawn, it will, well, I guess not, because it triggers. The triggers happen at the start of that phase, so as long as you're at dawn here, you can play it at dawn. It will not trigger till the following dawn. So you'd play it at dawn, morning, midday, afternoon, any of these times. knowing full well that until you get to midnight, this card does absolutely nothing for you. But once you hit midnight, we're here. Once you hit midnight, you get to shuffle your opponent's graveyard and draw a card from it. So something that's in their grave is now on your side, played without paying costs. And what else do we have here? This one here, at dawn, discard this card and one of your opponent's cards on the field. So this costs more to play at night, of course, because it has a quicker reaction, and it costs a little less to play during the day, because you know you've got to go all the way to the next dawn cycle before you can discard an opponent's card. I think the way the rounds are going to work, again, I'm just kind of spitballing it here, is each dawn, morning, midday, afternoon, each one of you goes first. You can play, I believe you should be able to play any amount of cards you want, as long as you pay the resources, which is from your deck. So I think the games are going to start much slower, much more passive, and it'll be kind of a stall-out game waiting for one person to finally jump and try and get stuff on the field. So at dawn, I'm probably going to be a little bit less aggressive, and so you play a card like this because you know it's cheap to play. However, the opponent has nothing in their grave. So until they play something in their grave, this doesn't benefit you. Now what it does benefit is, I can play this card, so I'm going to play it. I'm going to mill one of my cards to my grave. Whoops, that's a bad spot to have a grave. We'll put it down here. I've got to organize this thing a little bit better. That's locked, it won't move. Anyways, here's my graveyard. My thought is you do not reveal the milled cards, so this way you don't even know what's been milled out of your deck and what hasn't. So we've paid one resource, we now have this card. At midnight it will trigger. So this also locks our opponent to possibly not playing anything. Because if our opponent plays a card, I could get that out of their, and pays the resources for it, I could get that out of their trash, out of their garbage, their grave. Oh geez, couldn't remember the word. So this kind of locks them down to maybe not wanting to do that. They'll probably end up doing it. So now we're still in dawn. We would pass turn to the next player. Whoops, that's my turn now. Pass turn to the next player. So now it's player 2's turn. Let's shuffle up this deck again. Let's draw 5 cards. Now these decks are slightly different. Some of the cards are the same, but I did try and make one more of a day-focused deck and one more of a night-focused deck. Which is which? Couldn't tell you. I don't remember. This one here, yeah, see, cheaper card at night. At dusk, discard your hand, shuffle your grave, and draw 5 cards from it. You can't play cards from hand until the next dusk. It's kind of a little bit of a last-minute card. You want to play that later on. What do we have here? At dusk, each card with a dusk ability gets +1 on both yours and your opponent's fields. So if you're playing a heavily evening deck or nighttime deck, this benefits you, but if your opponent is, it benefits them too. Twilight to dusk. This card gets -1. So the idea with this one is if you play it at night, why did this one work? Twilight to dusk, this card gets -1. I don't know why I did that. Oh, because during the day it's a little bit weaker. So it's cheap to play during the day, but it's also a very weak daytime card. What do we have here? Dusk. Each card with a dusk ability gets +1. Yeah, we did that one already. Night. This card gets +1, and one of your opponent's cards gets -1 during the night. So I think that's the card we're probably going to play. It costs us 3, but we do give this card a -1. So in the nighttime, when we roll over to nighttime, that daytime trigger is not going to do anything. So we'll play this card, and we're going to pay 3 for that, right? 1, 2, 3. So that costs us our 3 resources, and we pass and now we can pass the turn back. Cycled through to, Tabletop Simulator rotates it differently, but we're now in morning. So in the morning phase, we draw a card for our turn. What's our new card? Skip the next night. Discard this card at the next afternoon. So this would skip night, which would kind of negate this card's abilities, which is useful. But it's very expensive to play during the day. What else do we have here? Discard this card, one of your opponent's cards on the field. Now we can play something like this. It's a cheap card to play. We can also opt to play nothing, but I don't want to play nothing. So that costs us 2. And then we can go back to player 1. Sorry, player 2. Draw a card to player 2. What's this one do? Midnight. Look at the top card of your library. You may play that card or put it on the bottom of your library. So we can play this one because it's cheap to play now. Now we also have to be cognizant of the nighttime trigger. So when the day ends and we go to night, this 5 strength card will be worth this 1 strength card in the day is worth 5 at night. This 2 strength card during the day is worth 3 at night. This one here, we have a 3 during the day, a 4 at night. So if we have a 4 at night, they have a 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 4. I got to try and get another 4 on that field so that I don't lose cards at the end of this turn. So I'm going to play something like this. Cost me 2, which isn't a lot to mill off the top. And now I've got 1 on them, right? I've got 1 on player. Player 2 has 1 advantage over player 1. So back to player 1. Rotate this again to the next one. We have no triggers. So once that rotates also, that's when our triggers happen, if we have any triggers that happen at specific times, which we don't have anything that happens in the middle of a day yet, other than that midnight one. So nothing in the middle of the day, only at night. Midday. So we are currently in midday, which means this trigger would have passed. Draw 2 cards, put 1 back on top of your library, and keep 1 in your hand. So that's not going to help us. That's something we're going to want to play at night, because it's cheaper to play at night. We're also looking for something now that's a cheap day card maybe, with a lot of night value. And we really don't have anything here. So we can opt to skip playing a card this turn. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to skip our turn. We're going to pass our turn. Player 2 draws a card. Player 2 has, let's see, a daytime expensive play of 4. Play this card on opponent's card. Night, any card under this card has 0 night value. It's not bad, because this is a very powerful card here. I think that's worth the 4 mills, the 4 cards milled, because we're knocking out a 5 from the it's not a combat phase, I guess it's an exchange phase or something like that, a comparative phase. We could play it at night, but I think we need to play it before night so it triggers. So we're going to play that card. We're going to pay its cost of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to play on top of this card here. We're going to lock down that card. That's the card we don't want to have any abilities. Yeah, that's the right way to play it. So now we have 36 in our deck. They have 40. However, when we go to our night phase now, they're going to come at us with 3, and we're going to go back at them with, what is that, 9. So we're at the advantage here. Let's go back to player 1. We rotate to where are we here? Afternoon. Yeah, we're in the afternoon phase now. We draw a card. So afternoon, midday, draw 2 cards, put 1 back. Nope, we already saw that one. See, we could play this now to skip the next night, discard this card the next afternoon. That would skip night. It's very expensive to play, but then we also don't take the damage from them, right? Because we're looking at right now facing, what do we say again? So we're facing 6 damage. So if we play this card, that gives us a morning benefit of 5. Because we skipped the night. So unless my player 2 opponent has something to counteract that, we're going to have 5 morning strength against them. Right now we have, what was this one? 1 day strength, yeah, because that only affects the night. 2, 3. 5, 6, 7, 8, and they've got a day of 6, 3, 4, 5. It might be worth it for us to play that card out. I think we're going to play that card out. Yeah, we're going to skip the next night. We're going to pay this one. It's worth it. So we're going to pay 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of ruins what I was going to show you about the interactive step, but we skip the next night, so this flip doesn't happen. And we switch right back to dawn. So now when we go to dawn, oh, sorry, I forgot to go to player 2. Whoops, it's player 2's turn. Player 2 has a chance to answer that now. And as you can tell, I didn't even do the back and forth where the first player is then the second player, so I was not paying attention to that. What do we have here? Night. Remove any card with a day value of 5 or less, then discard this card. It's not going to help us because we don't have, we're not going to night, we're skipping night if we can't get rid of that card. We discard with dusk. Ability gets +1. We don't have anything with a dusk ability. I mean, this card does itself, so that would give us a +1. They don't have any dusk abilities, but it's an expensive card to get out during the day. Twilight to dusk, this card gets -1. So that we would play on another player's card. It's not going to help us though during the day. Nope. No. Discard your hand, shuffle. Nope, none of these benefit us. So I think we're going to just take our chances 33 to 34. It's also a good way for us to see what happens when we cycle back and we go to day. So it's now dawn again because we skipped the night, because this card here triggers to skip the night, right? Skip the next night, discard this card in the next afternoon. So now we do our comparison. Here we have we're back to day, so we have a value of 2, 5 total. here we have a value of 5, 6, 7, and this one here isn't affected by the card above it, right? This card only affects it at night. So what do we say here? 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're 8 minus, what did I say, 5? So 3. So this opponent has to mill 3 cards off their deck as we went through that cycle. And now we continue. We're at dawn, and we draw, and we play the next round, and we keep going for the next part of the day cycle. A little bit of a bad example because you didn't get to see a night cycle go through, but that's basically the proof of concept of the game. That's roughly how it would play. As of right now, all cards are symmetrical abilities, top and bottom. That came as a recommendation through Discord. They said it's hard to read cards that are upside down. The only thing that changes on the day and night are the values. Or can change is the values, the cost of it, and its power ability, or whatever you want to call it. Attack. It's not really an attack. I do plan on possibly not doing that going forward, making some of these different abilities so that during the day it's one ability, at the night it's another ability. I also plan on making single-use type cards, kind of like action cards, or whatever you want to call them, Swifts if you're part of the Genesis thing, or Instants if you're part of Magic or whatever. I guess not really Instants, more sorceries and whatever. It's just an action card basically that would only be a day or a night card, or a universal card, can be used at any point in time, that would not have this dual feature that changes during day and night. But I think that's down the road. I'd like to start with something like this that's a pre-constructed, or a handful of cards that can make a couple pre-constructed decks for this kind of thing. Let me know what you think in the comments about day and night, and how you think it plays. Is it worthwhile? Does it seem silly? Does it seem to make sense? Don't be brutally honest, because it is proof of concept at this point, but let me know if I'm way off the mark, or if, this looks like this has something that's kind of interesting there. Ask me any questions. I know I didn't describe stuff very well, but yeah, basically it's a non-combat game, uses only what's in the deck of cards. I mean, you can use dice and things like that as counters as well. You don't have to rotate the day and night. You can use a die on it, whatever you want. But the point of it is that it uses everything like I like. It uses everything that's in your deck only. And there's no combat. I have a short list of things. I wanted everything in one box, no combat step, resources and life are your deck. I had a couple of things I was trying to hit, and I wanted to do a black and white card set, and I wanted somebody to use the day and night mechanic. Kind of like, I mean, to put in the simplest terms, you'd have a werewolf. Like I don't have any of those, but one of these cards would be a werewolf, right? During the day it's weaker, at night it's stronger, that sort of thing, right? Or like a full moon thing. A full moon, maybe there's a card that closes the full moon so the thing doesn't convert or whatever, your night effects don't work or something like that, right? That sort of thing. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you'd like to try it sometime with this horribly, probably broken set of cards the way it is right now. Yeah, that's, what do we have here? We're at 33 and the opponent's at 30, so if we were on the last season, we would win right now at 33. We'd have more life points. Actually, that's the thing too, I forgot. We moved now to spring, so now we are now in the spring. I don't have any cards that actually work with the seasons yet, but I think there should be cards that actually work with the seasonality. I think that'd be neat. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.